think it was Andy Edwards. You know Andy? It's like he was on Beato. It's like a English commentator on music.
Andy Edwards. Never heard of him.
You ready? Yeah. Hello and welcome to this video. And on this video, I'm going to be saying again, for I think the second or even maybe the third time, that Argus, this album here, is still terrible, right? 2 weeks later, it's still terrible. Now, a few weeks ago, for those of you who don't know, I put this album on in my car to study it and try and elucidate why it's been seen as such a masterpiece, you know, why so many people love it. And I expected to really like it, but I have to be honest, I didn't. And that surprised me. So I then went and made a video about it. I didn't think many people would watch it, being about Wishbone Ash. It's not the most sort of clickbaity of bands, but it turns out that it was very clickbaity, and very many people got upset. And so I put threw the gauntlet out, if that's what you do with a gauntlet, and said to the viewers, does anyone want to come up and change my mind? So this video is going to be called I Still Think This Is Terrible, Change My Mind. Now, I've got two lovely viewers that have come down. I assume they're viewers. If not, I don't know how the hell they've ended up here. But I won't give them their full names. I don't think they want that. But we have, to my left, Phil.
Hello.
And where have you come from, Phil?
Well, I've come from Bewdley.
Which is literally just round the corner. He's probably had 10 minutes getting here.
10-minute drive. Very
easy. And then we've also got, on my right, Rob.
Yep, I'm Rob, and I come from Maidstone, which is a little bit further away.
So he's come a long way.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm going to be chatting to them. They're going to be trying to challenge my prejudice views on this album. And then at the end of it, I will think who's most deserving. So I have to say, Phil, straight away, coming from Kent, he's got about 2 or 3 points in.
Yeah.
But I have to say, before we carry on, there is a consolation prize that I think is actually better than the main prize. So we'll see how that goes. In fact, it's such a good prize that if the person who wins might want to swap their main prize for the console, they'll be able to do that if they want. I mean, I think it's better.
He's a tease, isn't he?
Yeah, I am a tease, you see, because we have to keep people watching to the end of the video. Now, before we carry on, this will be light-hearted, as you know, but I am going to be very serious for now. There's 2 Wishbone Ashes still in existence. There's the Andy, what's he called? Andy Powell. Andy Powell. Yep. There's the Andy Powell version, and the drummer in that for a long time, I don't think he still is a good old mate of mine called Joe Crabtree. Brilliant drummer. There's also Martin Turner's Wishbone Ash, and I have to say this before this carries on. The drummer with Martin Turner's Wishbone Ash is a guy called Tim Brown, who sadly passed away 2 days ago, and he wasn't that old. I didn't know him that well. I used to speak to him quite a bit in the old days. He's an incredible drummer. He was a lovely guy. It's a massive upset in the world of British drumming. So I want to dedicate this video to Tim. And I send my condolences, or whatever you send. That's not the right word, is it? You know, to the family and all that type of thing. So he was a lovely, brilliant drummer, and it's just ironic that this has happened. You know, just literally a day or so before we shoot this video. But even with that, I'm still sticking to my opinion that this is a bloody cliched, boring album. So I think we'll start with. I think I'm going to start with you, Phil. You know, tell me where I'm wrong with this one.
I think really it comes from your expectations, doesn't it? So you've already said you like the cover.
Yeah, I like the cover.
Which is, I mean, the cover in itself is pretty iconic. I read somewhere that cover design was Hypnosis, and that Jimmy Page was a fan of that. And it's how Hypnosis got the deal to do what would have been As Is the Holy.
And it's very similar in
which has got the same sort of feel. And I think your expectations about something else, I think, somehow, you know. But I think you've also gone wrong in you've said it several times that you listen to it in the car, going to B&Q. That's 10 minutes from your house.
Don't tell them that, because the people can put a circle around B&Q and work out where I live now.
There's several B&Qs, aren't there? But
yeah, don't be trying to do that. You know, wishbone ash lovers. You know what the world's like nowadays. They'll have wishbone ash fans coming to try and get me and kidnap me.
And they should, but in the nicest possible way. But that's 10 minutes. That's a track, and I don't think that's giving it its fair crack of the whip. Really.
You don't know where I was driving with it. I've had to do long journeys up to up north to places northern.
You're the one that said it was to B&Q. You said this twice.
I was doing a lot of decorating that week, and so I was biting it off in chunks.
I think you should have been playing it in the background while you were decorating and hear the whole.
No, I listened to Fragile by Yes for that, because I actually wanted to listen to something that was good.
Okay. There's parts of the bass playing on at least two of the tracks that remind me of some of the Chris Squire bass on Fragile, which one of the reasons I thought it was odd that you didn't like it, because I can hear little flashes of Chris Squire type bass.
Right, I mean, Chris Squire being on an album doesn't make me like it, even if it was Chris Squire on the album. Okay. I think what I didn't like about it, because I've actually listened to it again, is it starts up, the acoustic-y stuff, quite like that. I quite like that. When it starts up and they've got a couple of chords seesawing back and forth. But then that outstays its welcome for me. It goes on a little bit too long. Then the band kicks in, and it's neither prog or hard rock. It's a place in the middle of those two things, and I don't know whether I'm equipped to appreciate that.
I think the year it was made is important in this discussion, because that's 1972, right? Is it 72? And you look at what else came out around 1972, 73. It really wasn't competing with that much in that sort of field. You'd got flash guitarists, you'd got sort of distorted guitars all over the show. And the funny thing is, after this came up, I'd bought, by coincidence, last year, I'd bought the first album, which I don't think I ever owned on vinyl. And I particularly like Phoenix on that. I think that's a terrific, the way that track builds. And I'd only really had that on the Live Dates album previously. So I bought that, and then because I'd enjoyed that, I bought Argus, I can't remember when, with the extra tracks on it. And you made me listen to it again, but through headphones. And I think listening to it in its entirety gives you a different picture. And that's what I used to do in 72, 73, was listen to both sides of an LP in its entirety through headphones. I think the snatches in a car or you're decorating, whatever, I don't think that's how that sort of music works.
I have to take, that's a fair point. I think, and extrapolating on from that, I'm listening to albums that I love, because in the old days we all listened to them like that. We put the headphones on and we sat with the gatefold sleeve and we listened to it all the way through, and we don't tend to do that, so we can remember that with albums we know. That was something that hung over all of this discussion. If I'd have heard this when I was like 14 and 15, would I love it now? But I did, you see. I heard it when I was 14, 15, plus Joe Crabtree once invited me to Andy Powell Wishbone Ash, where they did the entirety of it, and I watched it then, and what I remember it being live, it had more bite then than it did listening to the album. What about you, Rob? I mean, I take that point. That's a reasonable point. That's, my listening approach is probably, I'm comparing apples with oranges, not in terms of albums, but in terms of my focus on it. And that has been the case. I love listening to stuff in the car. I can really turn stuff up loud. I listen to various artists' albums, compilations I used to make in the car, or albums I know really well. I wouldn't put on something in the car to listen to if I didn't know it very well. It's just not something I would do. That's an interesting thing.
There are people like J.J. Cale, you can stick him on in the car and chug along quite nicely, and it doesn't matter when the tracks end or whatever. They're not made as an album like that. Because the second side of that flows and it has a style which is separate from the first side, really, in terms of the lyrics. You can put J.J. Cale or someone like that on and chuggle and turn it on and off Whenever
Don't
he
get me
doesn't
onto
affect the album.
JJ Cale. It's another thing altogether. I've never been near him so far. You're opening up a can of worms with old JJ. Not as bad as John Cale. I mean, he's not the worst Cale.
No.
He's not the worst of the Cales.
No.
So, Rob, come on.
Yep.
Try. I mean, that's fair enough.
Yep.
That's okay. I suppose I could take that. Come on.
Yeah. I was 13, 14 when it came out, and that I think I said to you, at that time I was just listening to Signals, Slade, from your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
great band, and that sort of thing. And then one of my friends said, "Look, come and listen to this," and he put it on. And I just thought, amazing. This is something completely different, and so. At the time, as Phil was saying, it really did hit a mark, and I think that.
But what mark is this thing?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah.
What mark? The tedious, endless pentatonic guitar solos over two chords.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, a track like Leaf and Stream, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful acoustic track. I mean, it's one of the, it's actually one of my possibly my favourite track on the album. Wonderful thing, and Sometime World. I mean, listen to the harmonies in that. The way at one point that is an amazing track, and it's really very proggy, I think, as well, that track. And so I think there's much to commend with that album. There's the slightly more obvious tracks, Blowing Free, which is quite catchy sort of numbers, sort of thing. Do you remember Radio Caroline? Do you remember that? They used to play that. It's one of those albums that always was played on that station when they were out in the North Sea. And so it's a great album, and I've always enjoyed it. I've listened to it for over 50 years.
Well, let's get down to it. Let's just get down to it, because I went to AI and I put in, what is the fans' favourite song on Argus? And I can't remember what they came up with. It was something like Kingdom Come or I Will Be, something like that. Is that the last track,
King Will Come, yeah.
The King Will Come, right? So I sat down with that and I analysed it. And what it actually starts off quite interesting. It's got sort of this reggae, jumpy reggae thing comes in.
Chunky.
That's quite nice. But then the drummer comes in with this snare drum bit, and then they stick on this for too long. It's just too... it's a nice idea. They don't develop it, but they stick on that for a certain amount of time. Then it goes into a riffy section. Now, this riff, it doesn't really capture me in the same ways that my favourite riffs do. It's a little bit on the sort of open, chordy type of riff. Then it goes into the verse chorus, which has the riff. Then it does verse chorus, has the riff. Then it does verse chorus, and it just carries on like that for too long, right? Now, all of these things are quite inoffensive. They don't grab me, but by the same token, they outstay their welcome. Then it goes into some sort of guitar solo, which for me, and I think this is the key, I really don't like the guitar playing on this. I think the harmony vocal, some of the acoustic, but I don't like the guitar playing at all.
So it's interesting. When I re-listened to it after seeing your first post, I put the headphones on, listened to it in its entirety. I actually thought it was better than I remember. It's a strange thing. I thought, I like that album, but it actually sounded better when I was really listening to it from an objective viewpoint. But one of the things I liked about it was the clean sounding guitars.
Yeah.
Because I've got hundreds of albums, and I had even more when I had a vinyl collection of guitarists. And I love Wah Wah, I love Fuzz, I love Overdrive, all the rest of it. That sound is very clean. And it's like a nice change from some of the other albums that I've treasured over the years, which I like because of dirty sounds. The Captain Beefheart albums, my God, the guitars just, they're so overdriven and weird.
And those two guitarists, and Andy Powell and Ted Turner, I was doing a little bit of homework coming up. Faith, my wife, was reading through Wikipedia, and apparently they were at one time taken as two of the top 10 guitarists in the country.
Why? That's what I'm on about. Because I think what it is that you've got some nice songs that, to me, I think they're actually channeling some American bands that have come out. There's there's a strain in American music that really is coming out of the Byrds. It's like an American reaction to the Beatles, and then you get the Byrds, and then you get Buffalo Springfield, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and there's a whole line of stuff that it actually goes off into bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd, but also the Eagles, and then the Byrds, even America, Bread, and that line of music was actually very influential on a whole host of bands at that time. Now, my old mate Kevin Gammond, he had a band in the old days with Robbie Blunt and Jess Roden called Bronco, and they were another band that was channeling those sort of West Coast bands. I love Bronco because it's got a lot of bite, but I think that what Wishbone Ash were doing was sort of a British version of those bands, and those bands were selling a lot of records. So I think people liked that sort of light rock.
Yeah, but did Wishbone Ash come first? Is that I said to you? I mean, listen to Steely Dan, Reading in the Years. Some of that guitar sound is not that dissimilar to what you hear on that album, but that album came out 6 months later. So
that is a good point. Now this is so I think I am not you guys. I mean, this is what you're here to do. I'm not here to. I wanted The Other Side put on my channel because it is a classic album. What do you think it was doing first, and how much do we have to take into account the album before? Because that period of time historically, bands were emerging. They had sort of been let off the leash 1970. They start to progress 71, and you could see an upward thing. And then 72, so many bands do a statement of a kind of expanded music, which of course punk and disco is going to wipe out, you see. And these bands start to look overblown by 74, 75. So what would you say they're pioneering? Because there was aspects about it. For me, it was the vocal sound. I thought the vocal sound was very ahead of its time because they were singing in sort of British accents.
That's it. I think initially they're kind of more of a bluesy band in the first
originally
a couple of albums. They had a great track called Phoenix, which I think is a wonderful track. But I think this, Argos really developed their sound. I mean, they had a complex vision. That's what they said they did, and I think that's right. I mean, they fused a bit of folk, a bit of progressive rock, and a bit of hard rock. It's all in there, all mixing in there. I think it's quite a unique album. I really do.
This might sound slightly disjointed. I hope it doesn't. But I said in my comment to you, the original comment, that at the time that I was listening to Wishbone Ash and other bands like that, I was also reading a lot of science fiction, which I've recently returned to. And if you listen to the lyrics on the second side, there's this mythological feel to it. And around that time, I suppose that's when I'd got fed up of, I love you, do you love me songs, And my best mate, actually, that I shared a bed sit with, I remember that most of the time we went to those two festivals together.
Yeah.
Most of the time we totally agreed on music, but his girlfriend, now his wife of 50 odd years, bought him that James Taylor album.
Oh yeah.
Now that was the epitome of what I hated. Sweet bloody baby James. I'd be clamouring to put Beefheart on, and then he'd really loved that album. He genuinely did, and he learned to play some of the songs on guitar and stuff. And there's no love songs. It's these myths, the stories, and I think they were kind of ahead of a lot of people with that. Pink Floyd, maybe, are in that same area.
Well, this is the most interesting thing about this album for me, when I was exploring it, not knowing that much about it, is obviously they've got the original vinyl artwork here. So there's the famous cover. Now, if I turn that over and show you lot there's a bloody UFO flying past.
But that's the point.
But this UFO has sort of been erased.
It hasn't. No, it's just vague, and that's part of the intrigue of the illustration. What is that Roman soldier doing looking at a flying saucer?
Yeah.
I rest my case, my lord.
Yeah.
It isn't erased.
I thought they'd put it on. No, that's a bit cheesy.
That's what it looked like on the original sleeve, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it was always a vague image. See what I mean? It's mystical. It's got a mythological tone to it.
Now, a lot of your pushback was reasonable, but this now is selling it to me, to be honest. And I think I might have to go back and have another listen, because the idea that this is a sort of, slightly Americanized soft rock album, maybe with extended tedious guitar solos. But the idea that they're not doing what all those sort of Americana-ish type bands do, and actually it's within the lyrics, because my problem is that it takes a long time with albums for me to get to the lyrics.
You've said this before.
Yeah, I listen to stuff.
I think that's why you've missed part of the point of the album.
Yeah.
I don't think you've picked up on that enough. And
Yeah.
I think there were a lot of albums. I'm starting to think of them now, but I mentioned in my email, in the comment I put, another album at that time that I loved and I've recently listened to a couple of times again is the Babe Ruth album, First Base, which again has a very science fiction. It's a Roger Dean illustration on the cover. The spaceman.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I know the album. Yeah.
Well, listen to that. I mean, again, it's groundbreaking stuff. It's got incredible rhythms, and it steals bits of music from other sources. But it's in that sort of almost mythical, area that overlaps with science fiction and literature. And I don't think that should be overlooked. I don't think it is just the sound and the guitar playing.
Yeah, it was very much a one-off. I mean, famously, they never wanted to recreate it again. I think they avoided making a son of Argus, as it were, in Wishbone 4, which is a very different sounding album. I guess that's kind of more American. That's probably more American influences in that one. Yeah. I
don't own that.
No, exactly. So it is very much a one-off, and I think it's the thing you need to think about with that album.
Before we move on, because I'm going to go on into other areas in a minute, there's another album that I remember featured in the sort of Argus oeuvre, as what do you call it? And it was the one where he's got the cricketer and he's rubbing.
That's it.
There's the rub.
Yeah.
There's the rub. What's that album like? Because I thought
I gave mine away to my brother. I didn't.
Yeah,
like it.
It's a great album. I mean, there's
Rob, you're a proper fan, aren't you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, there's FUBB on it, I think, and Persephone, wonderful track, isn't it?
Good,
absolutely gorgeous track. Yeah, I mean, for me, they're the two. I mean, it's Argus and there's the rub. Yeah,
they're the two albums to own.
That's
Absolutely.
interesting. I didn't. I remember giving it to my younger brother.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Well, yeah.
I feel that I did feel a bit bad, championing the music that I do, to have not given Wishbone Ash their little spot on my channel for the future, when people, we're all dead and gone. It is still around, and people are using this channel to find out about bands that have become so obscure by that point. I don't want the people of the future to be judging Argus on my likes and not likes, because I think that I've got a blind spot here. We all have blind spots, don't we, in what we like and what we don't like, and I think I tend to sort of parody that, my own prejudices, but I will go back and I think I need to sit down with the vinyl in here with it up really loud. I've got it.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I don't know what Rob thinks of this. Something that might change your mind slightly about the band, regardless of that album, is the Live Dates album.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I'm not a big fan of live albums. There's not many that I think, you can listen to for years to come. But Live Dates, I think, it sounds great. And another weird coincidence was, before you did your post about Argus, I posted on my Facebook page, "Baby, what do you want me to do?" from Live Dates, which has got some lovely slide guitar and so on. I think it was I did that about a week, before your post. And I think that album really shows the guitar playing at its best, rather than the studio albums. It's got some beautiful interplay between the two guitarists. Now, I think if you'd listen to that, then go back to that, you might have a slightly different
obviously this box set is rammed.
They were also great live. I mean, I saw them, the original lineup, when they returned, late 80s, early 90s. They played a gig locally in Maidstone, and that was fantastic. And my wife even came to it, and she not a fan of prog and that sort of music, but she said, yeah, they've got something. And I think they did live. They were a great band.
This is really frustrating. I never saw them.
No.
But even worse than that,
you're just losing, Phil. You don't like all the albums. You've never seen them live. Whereas Rob is obviously driven from bloody Kent.
That's driven from Kent.
He loves every bit about them. Have you got this box set?
I haven't. No, not at all. No.
But do you want to hear my near miss?
Go on then.
In 1974, we lived in Torquay. We lived there for about 18 months. And there was a club there. I might have the name wrong. It was called the Shippy or the Old Shippy. Not Shippy. It was a nightclub. Well, of course, Turner came from Torquay. And this club used to have a setup permanently in it of a drum kit and a couple of amps and stuff. And there was this regular promise, and my mate that I worked with came from Torquay, and he'd get a message, they're going to be on tonight. We'd go down to the Shippy, and at about 1:45 in the morning, you think, they're not coming, are they? They're not coming. This was a regular occurrence that I would not only have seen them live, but been in a room
about this size,
about this size, and not once did they turn up.
Oh God, yeah.
But no, I never actually seen Wishbone Ash live.
No.
Which is a strange thing.
Yeah.
So before I'm gonna think. I mean, it's pretty obvious, really. Anyone watching this, so I'm gonna give. You can have it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. It's very fun.
Which means, Phil, you get the consolation prize, which is, if I can wander over.
It's not going to be Van Morrison, is it? No.
What?
It's not going to be Van Morrison.
Of course it is. I have got it here. I'm fed up with the big. Now this big spider here was sent to me by a viewer. Right, it must have cost them a lot because it's quite big. You can imagine putting that in the post. Right, It's been in the back of so many videos, and to this day I do not know what it means and why they sent it to me.
And am I supposed to make something?
Well, I thought he's had his time here, and there's so many videos that I've done. I felt that he's ruined it by being in the background. He's too big and hairy, so you can have the spider.
I don't know what to say.
Right now,
I'm underwhelmed.
You'll be more underwhelmed. Don't worry. Now, if you look in the background, always I have Peter Rabbit in the background in that cup. He's in virtually every video. Now that one is a new Peter Rabbit. Okay. I've actually gone and got a new Peter Rabbit, so you can have the old original Peter Rabbit that you can tell he's got some paint on.
This is just getting better every year.
It gets better. Now, this is really good. Now, Van Morrison, this is one of a kind. This is by Van Morrison in a Morrison's Van mug.
Oh, right. There we are.
There we go. And a viewer sent me that, and it says Van in a Van. That's a one-off. There's the only one that exists.
It's not a bad thing that that's a one-off.
Are you a Van Morrison fan?
I'm not a big fan. I like Astral Weeks.
Well, that's good because your proper prize, believe it or not, and this is something I didn't want to let go of, but I thought I've got to come up. That is the very CD given to me by Robert Plant when we were on tour with Van Morrison. That made me hate Van Morrison, and I have signed it on the front. Okay. And then when you open it up inside, I've actually penned in there that this is Robert's CD. It was given to me, and it was the one that I used in the video. This has inspired so much on the channel, and it's almost like I don't want to get rid of it now, but I thought I do want to give you something that is of worth. And as my daughter was going through a few things that Robert owned that I now have, and they're worth a bomb, so this is probably worth more.
Okay.
And it's all authenticated because obviously I hold it, it's got a crack on the front, so. And in there, it's a couple of bass bed stitch stickers from Danny Sapko. So that's now you could swap your prize.
I won't be. No.
You can tell he's tempted. I mean, he's got his eyes on that spider. I can tell. Yeah.
Now, before you go, I don't want to drag you all down here without not giving you the chance to talk about something you want to talk about because I've controlled this a little bit. Now, I'm pretty sure I know what Phil's going to talk about. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah. He's actually brought some stuff up with me, and he didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I am. But there's what other band do you love, Rob? Who do you want to champion that you don't think I've mentioned on my channel? That what albums should the viewers go and get if
okay, right. I started with funny a strange Birmingham connection. I had I liked Slade originally, but then the first band I saw live, strangely, was ELO. And
do you want to hold the ELO bass? You can do that.
Yeah.
So this was the bass used on Xanadu and on the album, the Time one, Time.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
it played. It's actually the one that played that, and
Fantastic.
it's a '63 modified
Yeah.
Fender P. So it would be worth a bomb even if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
I saw them in Chatham Central Hall. It's the first band I ever saw live. It must be about March '74, and they were a great band at that point. I wasn't so keen on their cut. They kind of came a little bit commercial, sort of latterly into the late '70s, into the '80s. But
No, it's a good job my mate Rob's not here then. Because
exactly.
He's at Warwick Castle today.
Yeah.
Peacocks and whatever,
Yeah.
torture instruments, and so he's not here, and
Yeah.
I'm annoyed because I've had to do all the technical stuff myself.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've made this point that ELO were so much better before his dad came in, ruining it with his bloody farty vocals and his pop sensibilities.
Exactly. On the third day, what a great album that is. El Dorado, all those sort of things. Yeah. They changed bassists. Actually, talking of bassists, they changed bassists around about mid '74, I think. I believe they did.
That's when I think that's when Kelly came in.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I saw the guy before him. He was playing. Brilliant concert. I mean, frankly, to this day, I've seen a lot of gigs over the years. That one took the biscuit. They were so lively, young, brilliant. They're playing the cellos on top of the speakers. It was a fantastic evening. It really was. And
so you've given us another. ELO is a band that I really didn't like when I was young. I think because of coming into music in 79, 80 and being into the new wave of British heavy metal, and at the same time having them at their most disco period. And I can remember my mum used to get the great Universal catalogue, and they had about 7 albums in, and they always had that Discovery album. So I just hated them. As time's gone on, my favourite stuff is the disco stuff now. But I've had to learn to love them. But I think we forget how proggy they were in the early days.
Absolutely.
And there's so many incredible British bands. There's so many brilliant bands from Birmingham that don't get championed.
I'd also mention, I don't want to drone on too long, but maybe a couple of bands that maybe could be mentioned. Maybe how about a little bit earlier in the '70s, a band called Atomic Rooster.
Atomic Rooster is a band that I do really like. I've listened to them. It's fiery stuff, but it's quite proggy at the same time.
It is.
And I haven't done anything on them at all. If you ever are up with them, I won't drag you up here again, but if you ever want to come up and talk about Atomic Rooster. Now, Phil, you've been involved in a number of books. Can I show them this book?
You can.
So you were involved in this book, which is the John Bonham book by Mick Bonham. I think you did some editing on that, didn't you? And we were chatting before the video started about my Woodstock video that came out last week. Now, it wasn't actually the Woodstock concert that inspired that. I actually watched the new footage that has come out of the Bath Festival 1970 of Led Zeppelin. Some of it has got sound, some of it hasn't. I was very interested in the other people that were on that gigs, because I think was Colosseum on it.
Colosseum was one of the highlights.
And Frank Zappa were on it. Now we sit down, and this is a bizarre thing with this channel, all the weird coincidences happened. Is as soon as we sit down, because I'm sure I must have mentioned that video extensively in the Woodstock video, but Phil, you were there not only for the 1970 one with Zeppelin, but the 69 one. And
which was also, Led Zeppelin were on. They weren't top of the bill. The night finished spectacularly with Fleetwood Mac. And even remember, they finished with Shake Your Money Maker. I was 16, and it was just. I mean, that's what Andy's talking about. I somehow.
Yeah, could I pass this over, because he's brought up some incredible stuff, and I'm going to try and use.
Somehow that survived me hitchhiking to Bath from Quinton. Just outside.
Yeah.
Forward by Sir Michael Tippett.
Yeah. Amazing.
We've got like some incredible Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
The brilliance of the early Fleetwood Mac, which was huge, has been eclipsed by the Stevie Nicks. Go bothering Fleetwood Mac.
I think the first two Fleetwood Mac albums, along with.
Now I've got to be honest. I don't know if I've seen that Zeppelin photo before.
Yeah, that's been used a lot.
Has it?
Yeah, that was an early promotional shot. Yeah, but Zeppelin it was so funny. There were two stages. It was in the centre of Bath. Two stages were set up, and I've read about this. Freddie Bannister's book about it says that they set up the two stages at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I think the band started about 11:30 or so. And they alternated between these two stages, which were tiny. There's not many good photographs of the festival, and I didn't have a camera with me. But they were tiny stages. There's just about the Colosseum. There was just about room for them on there.
Yeah.
But it was phenomenal. I mean, you look at the guitarists that were on that day. You'd got Rory Gallagher.
Yeah, I've just seen Rory Gallagher. We Taste as well.
Taste. You've got Taste. You've got Chicken Shack.
Yeah.
Which of course is,
Stan Webb, another local man. Colosseum, as I said.
But obviously the great thing that was on was after Fleetwood Mac. You had Principal Edward's Magic Theatre.
No, they weren't on.
Weren't they?
No.
Because that was me time travelling, I booked that. And I thought, I'm going to go back to 69, do a little bit with something on there just after Fleetwood Mac. But the older time travelling.
I think there's 3 acts that didn't actually appear. Isn't that great that survived? Wow. But that was a big turning point in my life.
Taylor, was he on with John Mayall?
No, the John Mayall band was the turning point band. So it was no drummer.
Oh, really?
And it's sax, acoustic guitar, and John Mayall on harmonica and electric guitar.
And do you remember Keith Emerson as well?
They brought on some bagpipers. There were, I think, I might have this wrong, I seem to remember being about 4 bagpipers turned up. And of course Stan Webb had his 200-foot guitar lead and walked out into the audience. It was the first time I'd seen that. But you mentioned the Nice. The first record I ever bought was America, 1968. Was when I got my first record player. And America by the Nice was my first.
What do you remember about the Zeppelin gig? Because that's a very early.
About what?
What about the Led Zeppelin gig? What was that like? Was it? Were you blown away by it? What do you remember about it?
Somehow earlier you mentioned everybody's got prejudices. I hadn't got over the demise of Cream, because Cream was my favourite band. And as far as I was concerned, I kept hearing Communication Breakdown and thinking, I don't like that, I didn't take much notice. It's so ironic, really. I really didn't take that much notice. I wasn't instantly a Zeppelin fan. I was later. Got all the albums.
This is why you shouldn't have musical prejudice. It's like when my mate rang up on an up-and-coming band were playing in Birmingham, and he rings me up and said, "Do you want to come down and hang out with them?" And I, because I didn't like them, I didn't go, and that was Metallica. So I just turned it down. And you got the program from the 1970s.
The 1971. You would ask me about Zappa. My only really clear recollection of the Zappa performance in '70 was of the band waving around an enormous inflated penis. I think it was Flo and Eddie running across the back of the stage. And I'm stood there shivering with the blanket on because it was quite a cold day. That video doesn't do justice, by the way,
how cold it was.
Of how cold it was. It had rained the night before when we got there. And my mate and I slept under some corrugated iron sheets. We knew how to live. We just didn't bother. And it really was chilly a lot of the time. I mean, you can see when Jimmy Page comes on, he's wearing an overcoat, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's because it was cold, But the best 2 acts for me at that festival, which I do remember clearly, there's some of it I'm not very clear about, was Johnny Winter. First time I'd ever seen screens. And I think I might be right in saying it was the first time there'd been video screens on a stage in England. He was just phenomenal. And Colosseum, I saw, I don't know, lost count how many times I saw Colosseum in different lineups. They were just brilliant.
I mean, the obvious questions would be Saturday, you've got Pink Floyd headlining.
They were on at about like 3 a.m. They did Atom Heart Mother. That was the first time it was played. Missed it completely.
You just missed that.
Yeah, missed it completely. Yeah. A lot of the forget the schedule of that. It just went out the window completely. Which is why before Zeppelin came on, Donovan, who wasn't on the bill, played for an hour and a half. Love Donovan, but an hour and a half in the field is not.
No.
Yeah, we saw Donovan at Chelsea Cadogan Hall a few years, not that many years ago. Yeah.
Well, I like him, but
yeah.
So on the Sunday, obviously, we got second on from the bottom. We got Flock.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah,
do you remember him playing violin?
Yeah, there's I do. I mean, it's very strange when you try and remember that you don't know how much of it you're reinventing. That's why the 2 I'm most clear about are, as I said, Colosseum and Johnny Winter. There's other flashes of it where I remember leaving the big tent we were in, because there was sort of a big marquee to shelter in, and going out and catching part of some of the acts. and they I don't know how much I reinvent some of it, you know.
Yeah.
And what was the Led Zeppelin gig?
I remember it being, the sound not being very good for a start. It's why for years I'd been trying to find those clips. And when they all came together last month, it was interesting because the sound wasn't good. And if you look at the stage setup, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's very interesting to begin with. You see Jimmy Page walking from the caravan to the stage with his guitars, an acoustic and an electric, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's no roadie and no guitar tech.
Yeah.
And there's long periods of him tuning.
Yeah, I saw Led Zeppelin at Nebworth in the '79.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the last gigs because they were kind of superstars really by that point, and I think there's none of that going on. By that stage, I think they'd even had the big screens up, which I imagine in the early '70s. You were kind of peering from. I often wonder when I look at the film, the Isle of Wight Festival. I think 600,000 people there, and no big screen. It's amazing watching these acts, kind of little pinpricks in the distance there.
Yeah. But that stage, you've seen that video. It's just
it's awful.
A dark area. There are no spotlights. The only light appears to be on Robert Plant. There's very little. And then when John Bonham's doing Moby Dick, there's some lighting on him. But it wasn't handled well. The cameras weren't set up correctly. They'd got the wrong film, I think. They'd got daylight film. And the Zeppelin were going on as the sun was going down. So lots of things technically. Now we just wouldn't accept it, but there was thousands of people.
Yeah. I mean that Nebworth gig is on YouTube.
Yeah.
You possibly have seen it, Andy.
It was also on the DVD when that came out, and a lot of that is because they were at that point filming the gigs for the big screen. They had the cameras up, and I think they were able to use that footage which they had to go back in and get good copies of the Nebworth footage. Yeah,
sadly, I don't remember enough of the gig as I should do. I just remember some guy selling certain substances walking along my... which is kind of went on at that time, but
Chaz and Dave opened up for them.
They did, Chaz and Dave,
That was, I mean, it would have been nice to see Zeppelin, but you have to see Chaz and Dave at their peak.
Todd Rundgren was on as well, and that was that. He was interesting. He was good. Yeah.
Very, and then interesting. Todd Rundgren's the one that's. It's like Rick Beato's just done an interview with him, and I don't think the views have been very good because Todd Rundgren really is not. He's the most underrated artist in the history of music.
I think it's right.
He's one of sort of America's great geniuses, along with Frank Zappa, and yet it's. His stuff is, I don't know. It's anyway.
There you go, another program for you.
Well, there's so many bands to look at, and I'm getting to the point now where you've got to bring people in to talk about these bands because my knowledge of Babe Ruth and Atomic Rooster and Wishbone Ash, all these bands is way beyond me. You know. So thank you for coming down. It's been great. And so thank you, Phil. Thank you for doing that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, put a like on it, and if you want to come down and challenge me, because hopefully you've seen, because I get so much stick about criticising certain bands, but I hope you can see in reality I only do it to get a bit of a conversation going, and I think we've all learned something today, haven't we? We've all learned something about humility and maybe our own prejudices, but I think at the end, I just want to say they're still incredibly boring. I mean, approach this with caution, won't you? That's all I'm saying. It does go on for a long time. Science fiction lyrics or no.
Have you unplugged this, Rob?
I think we've done, chaps. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much. That's great fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd planned on all sorts of things. Didn't get to use Lionel. Maybe we should finish with a bit of Lionel. He's a new thing, you see, because I am really worried about how nasty I am as a person.
This is a new soft image.
He represents my inner niceness. He does, don't you, Lionel? Yes, I do, and I think it's very good that you've had these gentlemen come along to put the points forth, and I think you've both done it very well. So I say, well done, chaps. That's very good. And yes, so I think you need to do this a little bit more. I will do that, Lionel. I think that's a good thing. Yes, you do it, because sometimes you're a little bit. You're a bit big-headed and think you know everything. I know that, Lionel. I don't need you saying this in front of everybody. Wait for the video to be over, can you? Okay then, but thank you very much. And I like Argus very much. Yeah, you would. I think it's really good. Nice, delicate melodies and stuff about, science fiction stuff, and I really like the guitar so much. It's really good, I do. And I'm going to keep doing this because these gentlemen, I think they feel slightly uncomfortable being involved in such an event now with this, and I think they think that's really worrying them is the way that when I talk, and Andrew's voice is, you can see his lips moving, and they probably think that he's sort of controlling me, but actually, don't tell anybody, it's me controlling him. That's all along, it's been like that. And I will be here just to keep him on track so that he won't get nasty. So I think have you done a good thing there, Andrew? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've got you, and I've got guests to come in to keep me on track, so I won't get so prejudiced and nasty in future. Yes, you'll do that. Okay, bye. Subscribe, go to Patreon, be nice to everybody. There we go. I forgot I was going to have him. And the phone, I got it all here. I just wasn't. The thing is, I wasn't in the mood. Sometimes you're in the mood. If you're not in the mood, I'm much more interested in having a proper conversation.
Yeah.
Right, so we're done.
Okay.
Fantastic.